Hey everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about all the differences from Attack on Titan Season 4 Episode 6, The Warhammer Titan. This episode covers chapters 100, 101, and most of 102, and there's a lot of interesting changes in this one, guys, so let's get started. The episode kicks off with some anime-only content of Willy saying goodbye to his family. This whole scene was not in the manga, and I think they added it in just to make us feel more sympathetic for Willy, and I feel like the scene did its job. This is the scene that I mentioned in the last video that was probably going to be added into this one. Willy talks to Magath about him possibly being attacked during his speech, and then they contemplate sacrifice and who the devils are in this world. A couple things to note: in the anime they are being escorted and protected as part of a caravan with guards, but in the manga version it's just solely their carriage. Willy also wears a black suit in the anime but chooses a lighter color in the manga version. Next, anime Magath says that most of the Marley brass will be at the speech, but in the manga he says that the entire Marley military will be gathered in the public. Later in the conversation, Magath says that if the plan proceeds, then they won't pass you up as bait. But in the manga, Magath seems more reluctant to have Willy out there, as he says you are too important to be bait. The conversation ends with a handshake and the agreement that they are both devils. Again, a bit of censorship, as we don't see that Willy has been torn in half as he is eaten by Eren. Though in the manga, we clearly see his torn up body. Something else I noticed is that Eren is pretty close to the height of the building that is behind him in the anime, even though he is a bit hunched over. But in the manga he looks noticeably taller than the buildings in this page as he eats Willy. Next, Eren has to run a bit to jump on the bleachers that have all the Marley generals in it, and then he crushes them all. In the manga he just jumps to the side because the bleachers were so close to the stage. Also in the manga we see that bodies fly out as he lands on the bleachers, but in anime it's just debris that comes out. Moving on, Zofia gets crushed by a rock, but it's kinda censored in the anime. We do get a full shot in the manga of her death with all the blood shown though. Next is Udo's death. He is brutally trampled by the fleeing crowds as he tries to help Zofia. It's not shown in the anime, but it's actually Willy's friend, Ambassador Algueno, who is the first one to knock Udo down and ultimately cause his death. Also, the trampling looked really painful in the anime, but in the manga we see where it looks like his neck is snapped as someone kicks him. I really like this transformation scene, and also I liked Eren's no-nonsense action to just punch the Warhammer Titan. Then, as he mounts it, we see a short clip of him actually punching the Warhammer in the face, but in the manga we only get a rear view of this shot. In the anime, Magath announces that he's the one that took the first shot, but in the manga version this line is a little bit different. In the manga he says, "Mine was the first spear to pierce the enemy." This just makes it seem like a more significant moment by saying all that. As the battle's going on, we see the drunk man and the bread woman from an earlier episode get crushed by a rock. They are anime only, so we don't see this in the manga at all. Next we see Colt holding a dead Udo and running with Gabi. Udo looks really beaten up and covered with blood in the anime, but in the manga he's just completely obliterated. Pieck and Galliard are still trapped, but they are rescued by Pieck's panzer unit after she tells them to follow her in the last episode. One little change is in the manga we see that there's a wooden toy at the bottom of the hole with them. Next is a line left out from Pieck telling Galliard that help should be coming soon. The biggest difference though in this part is that the anime leaves out the panzer unit fighting over to see who will be the one to help Pieck out of the hole. You can see them all right here trying to reach their hands out to be the one to grab her. And last for this scene, the manga shows us Pieck as she actually climbs out of the hole. Magath talks to his soldier and makes comments as Eren is fighting the Warhammer. A lot of this dialogue was changed, so I'll tell you the manga version of this conversation and how it was edited. Magath criticizes their skill with the anti-Titan cannons, and we learn that they were obtained from the battle from the first episode, the one where they were being used against Reiner. We even get information in the manga about why the cannons were there. They had brought the cannons to fire at the end of the speech as celebration, and also they had the armor-piercing rounds being transported that day due to a training exercise. Next, the soldier is eager to kill Eren in the anime, but he suggests they follow policy and retake Eren in the manga version. Magath is against killing Eren in the anime and says it will only postpone the problem, but it's the opposite in the manga. He doesn't care if they kill Eren because he says the age of the Titan is coming to an end, and that it will all be over if Paradis loses the founding Titan here. He even says that it's his order. Lastly, Magath in the manga is the one to say the Warhammer Titan is not interested in eating Eren, rather than the soldier that was next to him in the anime. The Warhammer Titan breaks through Eren's defense and takes his head off. As it is about to deal the last blow, Mikasa arrives to save him. In this scene, on the Crunchyroll version and the Hulu version, he says, "Now or never, Mikasa," but in the manga, he says, "It's time, Mikasa." Both of these kind of meaning the same thing, but in the manga, there's more confidence that the scouts received his letters and this was part of the plan. This is emphasized more as he says, "You guys actually came," after Mikasa attacks the Warhammer in the anime, but he says, "You guys made it," in the manga. We get our first glimpse of Jean and Floch in the scene where the scouts are attacking the soldiers. Jean yells at Floch to keep the civilian casualties to a minimum as he walks over to him. In the manga, Jean is swinging from the maneuver gear as he yells the same lines at Floch. Floch also addresses Jean by his name right away in the manga, so it confirms to us that it is him. Another thing to mention, Floch's character design does look different in the anime. His face is more wide and his hair looks more straightened than in the manga. And in the manga version, his hair is more of a swirl design and you can see how it's more exaggerated here. Colt and Gabi are denied a bed for Udo at the hospital as they see that Udo is already dead. In the manga, the doctor is telling them this as he is operating on a patient, but in the anime version, he's just at the door. Next, a line of dialogue was cut from Colt as he's talking to Gabi. He says that the warrior unit will defeat the Titan, showing his confidence in their strength. The scene was pretty spot on. The only thing I saw was that the chubbier guard was killed and the thinner one had time to react to his death. But in the manga version, they are killed quickly and consecutively. I do want to mention though that this scene stood out to me because these Marleyan guards seem to truly care for Gabi's safety, and maybe seeing her every day as she goes to headquarters to train built a kind of bond between them. And this is reflected in Gabi's eyes as you can see her pain as Sasha kills her friends, and she was helpless to do anything about it. The scene ends with a nice death shot of the guards and Gabi gritting her teeth in anger. This quick scene was not in the manga. Sasha reminds Connie about setting up a light in the anime. He goes to a tall building with a pointed roof and places it there. But in the manga, he just goes to a regular roof and places it there at the corner. And lastly, a line was cut from Jean saying that they also took care of the enemies that his group was fighting. Very dynamic scene from the anime as this fight goes on. Mikasa hits the Warhammer in the face with a spear and it stumbles back. It attacks with whips that it creates and just barely misses Mikasa. The anime threw me off a little bit as I was comparing this fight because in the anime the Warhammer regains its balance after Mikasa's attack. But then it's on the ground after it attacks with the whips. And that's where I kind of get lost because it doesn't show us the Warhammer falling down. In the manga though, it shows us that Mikasa knocks the Warhammer down with the initial face shot. Also, we don't get to clearly see the whips in the anime. We only get to see them after the attack where they're just laying on the ground. In the manga we get a full shot of the whips and how the Warhammer used them to strike. And the Warhammer does this from the sitting down position. Next, Eren dives headfirst in the anime as he transforms into the Attack Titan, but in the manga he chooses to jump normally and we get to see him bite his hand as he transforms. Moving on, after Eren breaks the connection from the crystal to the Warhammer Titan, the Titan falls to its knees then face plants onto the ground. In the manga, the Warhammer just collapses in place where it was standing. It looks more like it just went limp. Galliard arrives in Jaw Titan form just in time to stop Eren from eating the Warhammer. He is quickly stopped by Levi by having his jaw cut as he was about to bite into Eren's neck. We are treated to a quick anime only clip of Levi landing and taking off again. In the anime, Galliard notices Levi before being slammed into the wall by Eren, but it's flipped in the manga version. Then, as Galliard tries to escape, he tries to flee by going to the roof of the building and being knocked down as he almost reaches the top. The manga version has him running to the side and someone stopping him by shooting a spear right underneath his jaw and knocking him down. Lastly, as the scouts close in, Galliard calls them the real devils of Paradis and it shows Levi's face. In the manga version though, it is both Levi and Mikasa heading for him. Thanks for watching guys, leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more Attack on Titan differences. Let me know if there was anything I missed and I will see you in the next one. Peace.